So your 3 days pass in which you took your contract job, and then the following day you receive orders that they have a new mission ready for you. So you guys head into the meeting with Owain and get settled at the table.
Morning.
Good morning, Grizzled Guardians. Good afternoon, I should say. I have a new assignment for you all. Now that the hill gusts are settled in, it's time to get back to business. One of the reasons that contact was broken with the southern baronies was the reactivation of the watchtower of Trivaxes in the former barony of Blightgate. During the Goblin Blood Wars, Trivaxes was the home of a human wizard named Rosin Emberheart, who also happened to be the Baron of Blightgate. Trivaxes fell under attack from a horde of goblins, and his men were heavily outnumbered, and the fortress fell. Before he died, however, Emberheart called down an incredibly powerful blast of destructive energy that devastated the attacking goblin forces, and likely the few remaining defenders. It is thought that, if it were not for the sacrifice of Emberheart and those that fought with him, the siege of Logus may have ended very differently. Unfortunately, shortly after the end of the Goblin Blood Wars, Emberheart and the other defenders of Trivaxes were revived through some form of dark magic. Rather than continuing their mission to protect Isger, they instead made it their mission to defend the tower and the surrounding lands from anyone who ventured into their territory. The Isger military has made a couple of attempts at retaking the fortress. The first attempt was a success. Baron Emberheart's remains and those of his troops were laid to rest, and travel between Logus and the southern baronies resumed. Within a year, however, Emberheart and his men were back. A second campaign was launched against them, but this time, Emberheart and his men were ready and waiting. The Isgiri Special Forces unit was crushed. The safest way south is to travel on the river and then disembark and travel to your destination. Finding a captain that will haul a single farmer's or merchant's goods along one of the major trade routes is difficult, not to mention prohibitively expensive. Traveling south from Logus and passing by Trivaxes is extremely dangerous. The Chitterwood remains full of bandits and goblins, and walking all the way around the Chitterwood is both very time-consuming and only slightly less dangerous. Trade and contact with the southern baronies diminished under the twice-revived Emberheart's reign of terror. Only the craziest and boldest merchants dared attempt to trek past the tower. Trade ground to an almost complete stop with the southern baronies, and so did news of what was happening. Some say that Emberheart is a lich. Other stories claim that he is some sort of ghost that has unfinished business that must be completed before his soul can find rest. Whatever he is, we need to find a way past Trivaxes in order to have a secure and reliable route into the southern baronies. In order for us to start reclaiming the southern baronies, the Tower of Trivaxes must be retaken and Emberheart must be laid to rest permanently. Your assignment is to discover a way to permanently end the threat of Trivaxes. Our goals to liberate the southern baronies hinge upon finding a way to neutralize Emberheart and his followers, and the old fortress would also make a good headquarters for our southern campaign. Simply killing the defenders of the tower doesn't seem to be enough. I've faced some powerful undead foes in my day, some of which claim to be unstoppable, but I have yet to see an undead that cannot be brought to final death. But in order to figure out how to lay the Baron of Blightgate to rest, we need to learn what type of undead he is and what may be binding him to this plane. Unfortunately, most of Emberheart's possessions were destroyed in that final blast. I sent one of our teams to scout out the tower and learn what they could a couple of months ago. They had strict orders not to engage. The team disappeared and never reported back, which is, as a side note, why we had a team opening when you all applied.
Awesome.
We have recently become aware of a potential new opportunity to discover the secret of Trivaxes and its undead guardians. I have been friends with Baron Timor Thornfield of Redmane for the past year. We happen to share the same divine patron, which is unusual in these parts. A little over a month ago, a young man arrived in Redmane that claimed to be the child of Baroness Lyra Thornfield and the deceased Baron Rosin Emberheart. It seems that they had courted for a couple of years before the Goblin Blood War started and planned to marry at the conclusion of the war. Unfortunately, Rosin died during the war, as we just talked about above, or a minute ago. Lyra was forced by her parents to give her baby up, and she eventually married Timur and they had 4 children together. Timur told me that before they married, Lyra had informed him of the scandal, and that she potentially had a son and heir somewhere out there. Timur chose to marry her anyway, and the two kept the secret of this first Thornfield heir a secret. So when this young man showed up, they knew that his claim could be true, but they also knew that this individual could be a fraud. For a month, the young man stayed in the barony as the Thornfields worked on confirming the truth of his heritage. A short time ago, a deadly explosion took the lives of my friend Timur as well as his oldest son Bronson, the child of Lyra and Rosin, the alleged child of Lyra and Rosin, stands accused of the murders. I don't know if this supposed heir is legitimate or not, but if any documents survive that can help us unravel the mystery of Travaxes, the most likely keeper of those documents is Baroness Lyra Thornfield. A direct descendant of Rosin could also potentially give us a way to break whatever curse exists in Trivaxes. Things are in a real state of upheaval in Redmane, and the timing is hardly ideal. But I want you all to travel to Redmane Barony and see if Baroness Thornfield has any possessions or writings of Rosin Emberheart that she has saved. While you are there, please also try to find out if this young man is indeed the lost descendant of Rosin Emberheart.
What?
I have just returned from my trip to Redmane for the funeral of Timur. While there, I spoke with his widow. In addition to giving my condolences, I asked her permission to send a team to Redmane to try and discover a way of ending the curse of Blightgate. She accepted, though somewhat reluctantly. So Baroness Thornfield is expecting you. Travel to the barony of Redmane and gain an audience with her. Do whatever you can to gain access to any possessions that Emberheart may have left in her care, and scour them for clues about the curse. I think it's our best hope for solving the mystery of Travaxes permanently. Keep your eyes open while you are there. The line of his succession is in doubt, and the Baron and the heir to the barony were murdered. These are the kinds of things that draw would-be warlords out of hiding. We're trying to reclaim baronies that have been lost over the past 20 years. We can't afford to lose more of the baronies we already have. Baron Timur was my friend, and I want to help his family get justice for his murder. If there are ways that you can serve the Thornfields and stabilize the barony while you pursue your goal, you are authorized to do it. Once you have determined if there are any possessions of the late Baron Emberheart that could be of help to us in understanding the curse and how to lift it, report back to me. Your pay rate has increased to 3 silver per day, which will be paid to you when you get back from Redmane. Any questions on your assignment?
This explosion, what kind was it? Magical? Alchemical? Physical? Like, what category does it fall into?
This alleged heir of Lyra and Rosin is a trained wizard. From the accusations, it was a magical fireball, is what they suspect. As part of your, I'm sure you can investigate more closely. There is
we will.
There is a blast site off the shortly before you get to Redmane Manor. You can see the remains of the detonation, whatever it was.
Who's currently doing the day-to-day running of things?
That would be Baroness Lyra.
Got
It's her family that is in the line of succession for the throne. Timur married into the family and adopted the name.
And they've preserved the site, correct?
They have. There are elements of it that are preserved. All of the evidence has been cataloged. They're just waiting for the trial to start. You will have perhaps access to some of the evidence. We'll see. They would have to talk to Baroness Lyra about that. One of her sons, Merle, is the warden of Redmane, and I believe he's in charge of the prosecution.
Our primary mission there is to get the info on Trabaxes.
Whatever information on Travaxes and the former Baron Emberheart. Yes, that is your primary mission then.
Our two secondary objectives are figure out what happened to Baron Timur and find out if this mystery child is the true heir.
Yes, that's correct.
Wanted to confirm.
If he is, I have seen a fair number of ghosts who, if they know they have a descendant or there's some kind of unfinished business, it's possible the kid could be a key. If he is the kid, it could be useful.
Just wanted to confirm our priorities.
Yep, you are correct in your priorities. Any other questions?
By the way, this is actually just me, not Risk. Risk would know. Redmane, remind me, how close to the Chitterwood?
So if you're able to zoom in, you can see Logos is there. Redmane is directly to the south. It's the barony south of Logos Barony. And then the ruined tower of Travaxes kind of sits right on the edge, or kind of right in the middle.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Right next to the Chitterwood, right?
It
right
is
on
right
the
next to the
border there.
Chitterwood. It is, yes. It is
Yeah.
not far to the borders of the Chitterwood from Redmane. And then where you adventured last time, the Hillgust Farm and Blackwood, they're right there in the Chitterwood. The barony just to the east of Redmane.
So the one who stands accused of this,
Yeah.
What's the motive? What would be his motive?
I don't know all the details. All I know from what I'm there, he is the eldest child of the Baroness. He would stand to inherit if he was recognized. Allegedly, all of the Thornfields were supposed to be in that carriage when it exploded.
And then he would have been the only survivor, so he would have automatically inherited.
Baron Thornfield had certain unpopular political positions, shall we say. This individual was raised in one of the orphanages of Asmodeus. There are also rumors in Redmane that perhaps this was a plant to get rid of Timur Thornfield. Maybe supplant the barony with, shall we say, more Thrune-friendly leadership. So there is a thought that maybe this isn't the heir at all, but someone who used it as a cover to get in. Yes.
Or it's the heir, but he's also a plant. I mean, like
it could be. There's a lot of possibilities, which is why I would like you to do a little bit of research into it to determine if you believe he is the heir. Like I said, he may or may not be valuable to the solving the curse, but it would be nice to know if there is a living heir.
Are there? Okay, so this is a Susan question because I feel like Isolde would know. Are there medical ways to prove that he's the heir? I'm assuming not, because they would have done that.
Not really, no.
Okay.
There's probably some higher level spells that would do it. Some kind of commune spell, basically. You could confirm it. It would be higher level magic. There's unfortunately, no first level like detect descendant
blood test
or anything like that. Yeah.
Detect DNA
blood type. Yeah.
Detect 23andMe connections.
In Pathfinder 1, there was spells like that. Come on.
All right, quick question.
Yes.
Travaxes. How big a settlement, roughly? Like, what categories in it?
It was primarily a wizard's tower. So Blightgate has a history. The Blightgate barony is mostly abandoned now. It has The lands have always been seemingly cursed. It was extremely hard to get crops to grow there, and those that did seemed slightly withered and stunted. Even in the years where weather patterns were ideal for growth, the farms of Blightgate would just barely make it by. Only weeds seem to have any success growing in the soil of Blightgate. Clerics and druids have been called upon many times to try and bless the land and improve growing conditions, but it requires constant effort.
I'm gonna be honest. This sounds exactly like the Badlands north of Havre. So it's all stones and cactuses and vultures. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, ultimately it costs more than the yields will gain at market to keep the necessary interventions up. Originally, this barony was called Rivergate due to its position between the Chitterwood and the Connerica River.
I think I can guess what name change.
Yes, every family that's tried to rule the land ultimately fails and falls into bankruptcy and financial ruin. The name
What's its
was
name now?
Blightgate.
Oh, well, yeah, no, that would be one.
The dukes and stewards of centuries past have long used promotion to Baron of Blightgate as a punishment for those that truly displease or annoy them. Few people live within the region despite its ideal topography due to the inability to grow crops. Game is relatively scarce in the barony as well. Even the well water tastes unpleasant in the few wells that have been successfully dug. The cost of
No.
maintaining a sparsely populated barony is prohibitively expensive, given the lack of any real economic activity in the area.
So we should stock up on rations and water before we leave. That's what I'm
Yes.
hearing.
The average tenure of a baron or baroness of Blightgate is less than a decade.
Wow. Good news, you've been promoted.
Yes.
And off you.
Even before the Goblin Blood Wars, Blightgate Barony was a haven for bandits and criminals. The revolving door of barons and their perpetual state of near bankruptcy means that there are few guards to patrol the barony. As
We're
often
gonna
as
have
not,
to kill some people.
the ruler of Blightgate Barony cuts a deal with the criminal element, offering to turn a blind eye and sanctuary in exchange for a cut of the profits from crimes against residents of neighboring baronies. But 80 years ago, the fortunes of Blightgate Barony changed. A wizard from House Martis of Chiliax backed the wrong house in the Chilaxian Civil War and refused to bend the knee to the new ruler of Chiliax. Queen Abigail I was not forgiving and wanted a punishment that kept the mage close enough to watch and busy enough that she wouldn't cause any new rebellions or troubles. She also wanted something that would slowly break the mage. She consulted with the steward of Isger and demanded that he appoint this mage, Valeria Martis, as count to the or as a baron of the cursed barony.
And that's Cheliax. The other option was ending up on an altar. So
So, Valeria knew nothing about farming, but she thought outside the box. She set up a business crafting magical items and sold them in Mulgus. Her ability to call guardians from other planes and set powerful magical traps safeguarded her wares and got around the problem of being able to feed them. She could also use magical minions to get the bandit problem under control. She took on apprentices for a fee and used them to increase the volume of magical items that she churned out. Within 3 years, the barony was making a profit and crime was at record lows.
Yay.
By the time of Valeria's death in 4675, the barony was performing well, and she passed the title of Baron of Blightgate to her son, Aldrich Emberheart. Aldrich was also a wizard and continued his mother's successes, but did not have the vision to expand the enterprise. So he died early in an unfortunate magical experiment. His son Rosin took over the barony and ruled. He was also trained as a wizard. He came up with some new ideas. He built a wall across the property, and he charged tolls for going through. But he was ultimately killed in the Goblin Blood Wars. And as we know, was apparently engaged to Baroness Lyra Redmane. Or, I'm sorry, Thornfield of Redmane. Before his death. Anyway, that's a little bit of history about Blightgate.
And since Goblin Blood Wars were like 20 years ago, this would be about the right time for the heir to come back or grow up. And okay,
It would be approximately, yes. He seems to be about the right age. He would be roughly 23, I believe. 22 or 23. Well, actually, he'd be a little older than that because it was at the early stages of the war that she became pregnant. So yeah, he might be a few years older than that. The age seems to be consistent with where it should be. As much as they can tell, once again, if you're raised in the orphanages, it's a little hard to tell your exact birth date easily. You don't usually come with any records.
And he didn't come with any records.
And you did not.
No records, just indoctrination.
That's true. There's an entire generation of young people that grew up
Right.
under the care of the Church of Asmodeus.
Hey, I'm not going to engage with that. That's a whole other thing. Okay. Her. Is there a... Okay. I don't want to get all modern cop here. But is there like an alchemist's office somewhere in Lagos?
Oh, are you asking someone or are you asking yourself? Is this
I'm
question
actually just asking myself.
Okay. Give me
No, I'm asking this out loud in the meeting, actually. No, was there an alchemist's office somewhere around this town?
Let me check.
there is indeed. It is. So there's Ormwood Alchemical Miracles. I think there might be another one too. That looks like the main one. There's also some alchemical training at the Rainscribe Academy of Wizardry as well.
I am not trying to get a cheap haircut. Like seriously, I'm gonna just keep the primary one in mind. We said Wormwood?
Ormwood. Ormwood.
Ormwood. Okay. I will keep I will keep them in mind. In case
He's
we need some forensic shit analyzed.
Yeah, he's a chirurgeon.
By the way, is there anything on the table here?
I have a letter of introduction to you. As I mentioned, I talked to the Baroness about sending a team. She is expecting you, but this letter will help ease things along. The funeral for Timur and Bronson has happened. That's where I have been the past number of days, but the murder trial has yet to begin, so there's still some open wounds there and a lot going on. Any other questions or clarifications that I can make for you?
I feel like it's pretty clear. We're gonna walk into a hornet's nest, see if we can not get killed by being stung by 50,000 hornets, and it'll be great.
That's right. Sounds good. Well, with that, then you are all dismissed. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you have this meeting, so you can either rest and head out in the morning, bright and early, or you can
How
start
far
the
is
journey
it,
now.
Scott? How long is it gonna take us to get there?
It's 12 miles from Logos.
Okay, so not
So-
super far.
I think it's about you guys move at 2 miles per hour, so it would be about a 6-hour trip if all goes well.